Hey guys, welcome to PT Live, another episode where we're talking to physiotherapists to help educate you about what physical therapy really encompasses. Today, I'm excited. We have Oury coming out of Chicagoland. She has been a practice owner for over 14 years of Body Gears. Body Gears is actually in 3 states, so it's pretty massive. In addition to that, she's a host of a podcast that is on SoundCloud. I will give you those details. It's called Gearing Up, hosted by Body Gears PT. So I'm going to have April tell you just a little bit about herself, and then we're going to dive into those questions.
So I grew up in the Wheaton area outside of Chicagoland, directly west, and thought, you know what, I think I want to be in the medical field. Didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. My mom steered me towards physical therapy, which has turned out to be a fantastic thing for me. Went to Boston University and then moved back to the Chicagoland area. So I've been a PT basically in a number of different settings, acute care and SNF units and nursing homes and outpatient care. And that's really where I found my love, is in the outpatient setting. So as a woman business owner, I love doing what I do, and I definitely love watching people move. So it's people say that's a little creepy. You watch people move. I'm like, yeah, but I get paid to do it every day, and I'm good at it. I love doing it. So.
No, that's amazing. And speaking of watching people move and the power of movement, I do like a functional component of your practice. Tell us a little bit about that. It's a little different from the traditional quote unquote exercise form of physiotherapy.
Yeah, and so we always say that exercise is definitely a part of the puzzle, but it's not the only part of the puzzle. And so we often have patients who come to us who are really frustrated. They've been given an exercise program, and that's basically the only thing that a PT did for them. And they say, you know, I've got these exercises and I've got this list, and I go in for my treatment and they just watch me. And so one of the things we say is, you don't pay us to watch you exercise, you pay us to help fix you. And so one of the things that we do is find out what's your functional problem that you are really having a hard time with, and how can we fit that, our manual therapy and our exercises into that. And so a quick example of that is we had a patient who had shoulder pain, and we thought it was coming from a frozen shoulder. And so I was talking to him and his therapist, like to help out a little bit and to say, what do you need this shoulder for? And he's like, I don't know how to move it. I'm like, well, right, everybody needs to move the shoulder, but what do you care about? Like, what's important to you? Well, it turns out he has a disabled daughter, and he has to literally care for her and lift her up and move her from bed to toileting and those type of things. As well as he really likes to work out. He's like, you know, from my mental state, I need to be able to have this outlet. And so he needs to, you know, be able to do our motions that you do at a gym. And so he's got these two really important things in his life, and that's what he needs his exercises for. So we can then go in and do manual therapy work and neuromuscular reeducation for all the different joints at the shoulder, not just the shoulder itself, that play into it and help him from a motivational standpoint get back to doing those things.
That's amazing. I love the motivational component. Like, now, what was it that gravitated you towards the profession? Like, is there a current special interest that you have, or whether it was in the past that led you to the profession?
So as a kid, I've had back pain since I was 10 years old, which I'm a little older than that now. And so I've had back pain for a long time. And so one of the things that led me into it is I had a lot of care for different gymnastics injuries that I had. I actually really wanted to go to med school. And my mom was like, well, you can do that, but I really think you like talking, April. I was like, what? Yeah, I guess I do. He's like, and you're going to want to be able to really impact people from a standpoint of working with them and not just necessarily prescribing medication or giving them a surgery. Because if you're doing surgery, you can't talk to them, right? They're under. So he's like, let's look at what a physician can do, and let's look at what a therapist can do, and maybe try therapy. And if you don't like being a therapist, maybe go back and become a physician at that point. And really, after I got through a couple of hard bumps at the beginning of my profession, I absolutely loved it and have found a lot of joy in doing so.
I've noticed that commonality with physiotherapists. You are the third one I've interacted with that was initially on the track towards being an MD, me including, but it's that quality time we get to spend with patient care that allowed us to gravitate it towards it even more. Now, thinking about patients, has there ever been a situation or an occurrence where you had to educate to a patient what physical therapy consisted of and that they were surprised at? Tell us a situation of that may have occurred.
Yeah, and I'm going to even take a step back. They weren't even a patient yet, because most people don't even know what physical therapy does, right? And so it's really hard for people to choose PT or even ask questions to a PT since they don't know what we do. And so one of the things I love doing is going out to the public, even in like this type of a scenario, and just saying, what do PTs help you with? And so a lot of times people think that PT is only for after surgery or after an injury, which absolutely you can do that. But a lot of times people don't know that we can do performance-based therapy. So if you want to run faster, a PT will take the techniques that we use for helping to rehabilitate somebody and use those even at your level and just get that last little bit where the joint can then fire more effectively, or the muscles can fire more effectively around the joint to propel you forward. So from a PT standpoint, we educate people all the time about if you've got chronic pain or if you've got someone who's told you, there's really nothing more we can do for you, that's a perfect time to go get a second opinion from maybe somebody else. And a lot of times our patients will say, I was told by a surgeon or a physician, there's nothing more that we can do for you. And the reality is it's unfair to expect physicians to know absolutely everything that a PT can do or that anybody else outside of the medical profession can do, because it's hard enough to keep up on their own research and their own field of study within being a physician or a surgeon. And so, we just tell people, absolutely, go for a second opinion. And from a second opinion standpoint, find someone that really works with you and works with your body, not necessarily telling you, well, you shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. PTs are people who are movement experts who help you get into new movement patterns and train you into not just appropriate body mechanics, but actually facilitating new motor patterns. And so we tell people that all the time, like before they're even a patient, like, so what can you do for me? Well, what's your problem? So.
No, that's powerful. I love how you took that step back to educate potential patients or just the general public in health and wellness. I love on your website how you guys have a health form and you guys have different areas for MDs, for personal trainers, for Pilates to go to your website for information, but also for your patients as well. Education is a powerful component in our profession that we can do.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm really, one of the things I'm really interested in is how patients even become a patient, right? How do they even get into the medical circle, right? And historically, it's been the physician says you need PT. And I think one of the great things that's happening right now in healthcare is that you've got consumers who are really interested in educating themselves and researching, well, which doctor do I want to go to, which specialty? I want to check out Yelp reviews. I want to check out, like, why would I do yoga versus Pilates? Why would I do Pilates versus PT? And so we have, the reason we have all that on our website is that we do have physicians who say, yes, you need therapy, but we then also have yoga instructors who are like, you know what? I've been helping this person with their hamstrings for 2 years. I don't think it's a stretching problem, because if it was a stretching problem, we would have fixed this by now, right? And so they're entering the physical therapy treatment space through a yoga instructor. So I just love that we're able to help people with that.
No, that's absolutely powerful, and being able to combine all those different health and wellness specialties together to help gear towards a patient. Like you said, I mean, patients are looking up on Yelp reviews, or just individuals are looking on Yelp reviews. We always say that quote, don't devalue my degree for Google, but people are in the age where they are searching their condition, like, oh goodness, adhesive capsulitis. Okay, do this, do that. So it's powerful when us as the education musculoskeletal specialists can be able to facilitate and give out that information versus them trusting Dr. Google. No offense to Google.
Right, and really, there's a space for everything, right? So if you have a patient who's educated, and they might be miseducated, but they at least did something to try and fix their own condition. And we take that motivation and help maybe redirect it if it's been misdirected.
Absolutely. Come to us for solutions, and we can be able to give us those routes or those paths they can take. That's a powerful statement. Now, thinking about the physical therapy profession, what are some things that you see or notice that are evolving or changing in the profession?
So I've been practicing for 20 years, which is a long time to me. And as such, there have been a lot of, we'll call them waves, if you will, of different ideas, right? And so one of the things that seems to be coming up in my mind is that we've got, high quality care with decreased volume, or higher volume care, which doesn't necessarily mean decreased quality, but often it does, because you just can't spend the amount of time with a patient if you're treating 4 people an hour or 5 people an hour. And I've worked in those scenarios, and there's a place for that in the marketplace, but there's also then a place for a more educated consumer to say, you know what, that model didn't work for me. I want this model instead. And so they don't necessarily have to be on opposite ends of the spectrum, but they kind of are. And so I see that as a thing that is good for the profession in some ways and really negative in other ways. But if you're an educated consumer, somebody who's listening to these type of podcasts and events where you can actually go and talk to a therapist, you'll be able to find out, is this somebody that I want to work with and actually has good answers for me or not? And if you want to be in a scenario where you're one of 4 people and that works for you, fantastic, go ahead and do that. If it doesn't, like I said, there's a lot of other brands of therapy and a lot of other models that are working for people.
Absolutely. And I love how you say the well-educated consumers. We can provide the resources and the solutions for them, but then themselves allow themselves to be educated on certain things so they can make that decision for them in regards to which type of physiotherapy treatment that they prefer. They're doing the research on their own, and we're helping to provide information. So we're helping out those educated consumers even more. Now, just thinking about physical therapy in general, what does physical therapy mean to you? I know we have our definition of it, but what does physiotherapy mean to you?
Well, it's so personal, right? So one of the things that it means to me is like I literally get to change people's lives with my hands and my mind every day. And to the point where, you know, a lot of our patients come in and their lives are in shambles. You know, they've lost their job, they've lost relationships because nobody wants to listen to them anymore or complain. And they've been told that they're hopeless. And they literally come in, you know, like this, because that's how they feel on the outside and on the inside, and they don't know how to turn that around. And so for me, it's one of those things where I get to give people not only hope, but like we actually change people's stories, right? And so I know for myself, that's how I have experienced therapy with my own back pain and being able to get through to the point where I rarely notice it. You know, there are times that I'm like, yeah, okay, I wore the high heels, I need to go get treated, right? But I also know like that's my payoff. Right? Wear the high
Absolutely.
heels, go get treated. But you know, for patients, you know, we one of the things that I find so meaningful to it is that you can help restore people's relationships with their own bodies, with their thoughts about themselves, and then that translates into relationships outside of themselves. So, you know, significant others and children, and it's a really powerful tool that we get to do as therapists. So.
Absolutely. You put it very well. It's a powerful tool that we get to do because we're able to, like you said, connect them with their body, and they're able to, they come in with pain, and we're able to help give them solutions, give them certain things that they need to do to help with the mobility, but then we're also able to help educate them. I love how you always have that component in with them, because once we educate our patients, they're able to be empowered. They're like, okay, April told me to do this, I'm doing it. Okay, she told me that I wasn't supposed to do this, I did, and now I'm seeing the result. Like your example with heels, I have that as well. If I drive in the car too much, because like about 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a car accident, so I had to be cognizant of chairs I sit in, not crossing my legs, not sitting Indian style or sitting with my legs crossed. But I know if I do certain things, I'm like, all right, my hips are gonna start flaring up. Let me go do back extensions. But things like that, you're able to empower the patient and that educated consumer so they can further help with the holistic wellness of their body. So that's powerful. Now,
Yeah.
just in general, what are some takeaways that you have about the PT profession that you want to share?
I, first of all, obviously love PT. And if you don't love PT as a consumer, you just haven't found the right person for you. So we often say, you know, you had a bad burger. Does that mean you never go get another burger again in your life? You probably just go try a different brand, right? Or you try one with a different flavor. So go try a different flavor of therapy. It's not all the same, and that's great. There's lots and lots of different types, and the profession can hold all of them together. So if you're not a therapy lover, go find someone to make you love it.
That is great. And it takes them being the educated consumer to research about it. I love how you said that, because I've heard from patients before that were apprehensive to get back into physical therapy because they're like, well, they put me on a machine and they just left me for 30 minutes. And they told me to go on the bike after the buzzer ding. So as you said before, I mean, just like we could try different burgers. Maybe you want a vegan burger. I'm not a vegan. I'm from Texas. But you could just try different things. I do love turkey burger though. But you could just try different things of your preference. So that is pretty powerful. Well, April, thank you so much for sharing this information. I'm going to post all her information in the description. As I said before, check out their website, bodygears.com, and all her other information I'm going to have provided for you as well. Thank you so much, April. And I will be talking to you very soon, because we're going to have another chat about something else.
Excellent. All right, take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.